Hey, it's Jim, and this is level 1 of the CFA program, the topic on alternative investments and the learning module on an introduction to digital assets. The very first sentence of this learning module tells us that this is a relatively new investments class. But it fits right in line with our conversations that we've had in every one of the other alternative investments learning module. There's a conversation on diversification. There's a conversation on anticipating higher returns, but with an extra layer of risk. And that's pretty much what this learning module tells us about, is what are those extra layers of risk and how do they provide us with extra compensation? Of course, examples of digital assets include cryptocurrencies and digital collectibles and fan tokens. What do you suspect the correlation coefficient is between, let's say, a share of Procter & Gamble stock and an FC Barcelona fan token? I'm guessing it's 0, but maybe it's not. In fact, at the very end of this learning module, there's a small table in which the Institute tells us that the correlation coefficient between Bitcoin and some index, I think it's the S&P 500 index, is 0.21. I would have thought it was lower, but nevertheless, it's near 0. Let's take a look at the learning outcome statements. Notice we're going to do lots of describing and explaining. Look at the bottom one there. I would have thought that this would have been the most important of the 4 LOSs, but the Institute only spends just maybe 2 pages on risk, return, and diversification. And I probably summarized a little bit of it in that previous slide. But the focus seems to be this distributed ledger technology, which is a theme throughout. And we'll talk about the features and we'll talk about forms and vehicles. So let's start with this concept of a distributed ledger technology, which is really nothing more than a shared database across networks. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about this assignment. Suppose I said to you guys, and let's suppose there's 20 of you out there in my class, and I say, what I want you to do is I want you to go and I want you to put together the balance sheet for Nike. So what do we need to do? We need to do current assets and current liabilities, right? We need to do all that stuff. So let's start with cash and cash equivalents. So I'm not going to send all 20 of you to determine what those cash and cash equivalents accounts are, but maybe I'd send 11 of you. I picked 11 for a certain reason here, right? So 11 of you go, and we've got this big spreadsheet, and the first one figures out the number and enters 100 into the cell. And then the rest, the other 10 of you, you're doing all of your work and you say, oh yeah, I got 10, I got 10, I got 10. So you're confirming, you're validating that. This is level 1 of the CFA program, the topic on financial statement analysis and the reading on understanding cash flow. What did I say? Capital budgeting, but on both balance sheet cash flows. Applied back there. Ability to generate cash, other firms. Means that first bullet, the goal of the business, years from now. So there's cash flow, even though I was probably